frequency of the times. The sonic chronic.
Hey, I'm Shazy, creative alchemist, music producer, artist, and vocal vixen. Born in Xanadu and living in LA, ready to scratch that itch in your brain.
And hi, I'm Mandy, singer, actress, lover, born and raised in LA, ready to sprinkle a little magic everywhere I go.
And welcome to the Sonic Chronic.
Oh yeah.
Ooh yeah, where we discuss the soundtracks and music of the most popular film titles of a year and how they influenced or were influenced by the cultural and global buzz of that year. Who were its popular tastemakers and storytellers? And what was the frequency of that time?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
And welcome, baby. This is episode 3.
Woo!
And guess what? It's part 1 of episode 3. And let's take you back. It's 1998. And Shay, is that hair gel?
That's right. We are time warping all of you back to the year 1998. And our new format, that's why she was saying part 1, is that each episode we would do a year. But we realized there were so many great movies or so many interesting titles to talk about in 1 year that we had to break it into 2 episodes.
Yes.
So we'll always have a part 1 and a part 2 of each year that we review. So this is 1998 part 1. And what is that quote from? Do you guys recognize
figure it out soon when we deep dive.
Oh, that's right. One of the titles that we're doing. And I hope you saw it. It was an iconic movie for that year. But I'm excited. 1998, I'm thinking we went from 2010, last episode. This is 25 years dialing it back.
Well, when you put it that way.
What the heck?
That's a long time ago.
You were a little tadpole.
I was just a little baby, a little 8-year-old. My goodness.
You were just a little Mandy.
I was 8 years old in elementary school.
Kid. No, but yeah, that's awesome. So then these are the times that for you probably didn't see a lot of these titles in the theater. Probably.
No, I didn't see these movies in the theater. I know. So, well, actually, no, they were popping back then.
Yeah.
So
I mean, a couple you might, maybe the one that we might review.
The Second Chance to Dance.
Yes. But for me, I'm a little older. And so, I actually saw most of these titles in the theater as well. Again, just so you know, to remind everybody about what we do in this show and why we pick the titles we do, we basically look at the top IMDB rated as well as top box office movies of that year. We're going to do a rundown of the most newsworthy moments of the year. And we like to kind of juxtapose what was going on during the whole world, the planet, and then what were people drawn to or interested in seeing? Is there any connection? Is there a theme going on there? So some of the movies that were popular, I could see maybe I wasn't tuning into what everybody else was. I was kind of like, I don't know. Maybe I was on the other side of the fence on a couple of them. But most of them, I think I was probably also.
I was excited to deep dive with these titles. This is like, they were hits. But before we get into that, let's go back to that time, Shay.
Let's take everybody back.
Happening?
That was a while back. So let me remind you all. This was the year the Monica Lewinsky scandal was happening. Ooh. That's right. Bill Clinton, saxophone player. And this was like dominating the U.S. news, of course. And this was on all of our minds. And regardless of all the major stuff going on, we were all about Bill and Monica. You know what I'm saying? Okay, U.S. Americans. Then we also had a series of terrorist bombings in Kenya and Tanzania. That was actually happening, and that was targeting U.S. embassies. They killed over 200 people and injured thousands more. So that was really kind of the beginnings of a heightening of this terrorist idea and terrorist activity, how narrative was going. So think about some of the movies we're about to review, right, when I say that.
Gosh.
Then also, President, and I hope I don't butcher this name, Slobodan Milosevic.
Perfect.
Was indicted for war crimes committed during the conflict in Kosovo.
Ooh.
So that was happening. And then India and Pakistan conducted nuclear tests, escalating tensions between the two countries. A lot of war games, tensions between nations. a lot of this posturing, and then finally a more natural disaster kind of situation, a devastating earthquake in Afghanistan. It killed over 5,000 people and left thousands, tens of thousands homeless. So that was actually a devastating natural disaster event. But so think about that. There was a lot of like this political war tension happening. Interesting, right?
What an intense time that we were going through.
That was global. But you know what I've remembered and realized based on one of the movies we're going to review is that it was also the time in the U.S., at least, the 90s decade was that decade of reality television. And was that because we were so disenfranchised with what was going on in our world that we were like, let's just tune out and watch other people's lives so that we don't think about our own lives? I mean, we were obsessed, Mandy.
Oh my gosh, we
obsessed.
were. And a little bit of pop culture news around this time. Do you remember that MTV launched TRL that year?
Yeah, oh my God.
Taking it all the way back. And
that was
with
98?
that,
I thought it was sooner
that was
than
98.
Oh my God.
And Baby One More Time dropped. Britney Spears.
Yo,
this
that
is
was
the
her
time
big
of
debut.
Britney Spears. And then I remember
pigtails.
being in elementary school and all of a sudden Apple drops this incredible, the iconic, revolutionary iMac computer.
That was 98?
That was 98. And do you remember all the different colors that came in?
Oh my God, that was like Steve Jobs, that whole kind of momentum with Apple was game changer in the industry.
I just remember like going into the computer lab and always rushing to the pink one.
You wanted
play all the games.
It was so cool that you could pick a color. Yeah, it used to be so boring.
And then, do you remember Furby dolls?
Yes.
Yo,
was that the year people are obsessed?
They were so obsessed, but also I had one and mine would talk to me at night without battery.
They were creepy. I'm sorry, they're all creepy. Why were people so obsessed? I didn't understand. I've never been obsessed with that stuff, though. That's the thing. I'm not the perfect person to talk about it.
It was remember the phenomenon with Beanie Babies? I don't know what year
Beanie
that
Babies
was,
and then Cabbage Patch Dolls and all that.
Oh, and
the
little
got into
Tamagotchi. The little,
the little thing, the pet thing that you fed.
Yes.
You're like, feed, I'm pooping. No, maybe it was a good thing for some people. Not
At least it was in the 80s with the pet rock.
I mean, that's sad. That is real sad. No, hey, Chia Pet was pretty cool, though.
Chia.
It made a comeback.
Oh, yes. I remember the Chia Pet.
Actually, those are microgreens. Those are actually pretty healthy. Of course, we weren't thinking that back then.
They had like a Bob Ross Chia Pet. With his little afro.
I actually wanted to get, I think they're like rare finds now. Can you get a Bob Ross Chia Pet head?
I know what I'm getting you for your
birthday. Oh my God, please.
I'm going to find one, yeah.
If you do, I will be very happy.
Like Ross and Marshall's like in the little like
Bob Ross?
I don't know about the Bob Ross one, but I've definitely seen
Bob Ross.
I'm gonna look. I'm gonna track it down for you on eBay.
Not any Chia Pet. That was good. No, but thinking about that, Apple, that's really interesting because that was the first time we started thinking, like prioritizing design and saying how important that was, the user experience, interface, how that made a big difference. And then like it was the rise of the iPhone and like this whole like school of I'm Apple, I'm PC user. Of course, Android caught up and all this stuff, but that was not for a while. It was almost like it was cool.
Yeah.
It was trendy. You were on it if you were an Apple user.
Totally. Remember all the iPods and the different versions of it? I still have my big brick one.
That's right. They set we had Sony Walkman before that, right?
Yeah. Leaps
and bounds. Suddenly you have this iPod. This was the thing that revolutionized music for like holding music, listening to music. I mean, Napster didn't come around till what? 2004 or something like that? I don't know. But remember?
Probably. That was like, for me, it was like middle school days and LimeWire.
I think that was like iPod killed the CD.
My gosh,
I think that was the killer of, I was thinking about that. Nobody listens to CDs anymore. And why did that phase out? Like, why did cars stop having CD players? You know, because it's like, unlike vinyl records, you have more real estate for cool art, right? And then you literally have a different kind of experience with the audio of a vinyl record versus you get a digital download off of Apple Music or iTunes at the time. And it's the same as having the CD.
Yeah.
Except for it's a little bit more work and, you know, you're just burning it basically to put it on your iPod.
Yep. I remember all that. What a mission just to do all that.
It was such a mission. But people were and you were making your playlists. Like that was the new day of a mixtape, a digital mixtape, right?
Yes. But that came a little bit later though, right?
It did?
98, I was still rocking the Walkman.
No,
a cassette.
it took a minute for sure.
Yeah.
It took a minute. I think maybe early 2000s.
Early
but
2000s,
That
for
was the
sure.
beginning of that trend where Apple was like, they were stepping up their game. I think that leaned into the trend of people loving having their own libraries of music that they could share and make playlists. I mean, that was before Spotify, making playlists on Spotify. And people love those mixtapes. Nobody's got cassette tapes, you know what I'm saying? So that was like a good replacement. But yeah, and that's the thing. There was a lot going on in terms of music. I mean, 90s era was like awesome with music. But what's interesting is, unlike 2010, and I was saying this the last time, I think that was just after 2000 and into like 2010, the end of the decade, beginning of that next decade, that's when individual artists, that was starting to be partnered with these movies more. But 98 was like scores, film scores, composition, classic stuff where you're like using different kind of instrumentation to evoke emotion or like create that like drama or that feeling during certain scenes.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't a lot of individual songs, right?
Not a lot of lyrics in these movies with the songs. But
Yeah.
let's deep dive and let's start our...
Shall we get into the
Let's
actual
get into
titles?
it.
All right. So we are going to do it. Now, since we're doing this new format of, we're still picking out of our box to pick the titles we review. So we're keeping it random. But we are picking a quote.
Yes.
And we're going to read the quote to you all and then reveal the title. So, you want to pick first?
Okay.
Okay. Do it, Mandy. Do it. Do
What's
it.
it gonna be?
Can you read my chicken scratch? Do you need help? Do you want me to read this one?
You read it.
Okay. I got air in my lungs, a few blank sheets of paper. I mean, I love waking up in the morning not knowing what's going to happen or who I'm going to meet or where I'm going to wind up.
Wow. That's beautiful. You're Jack Dawson.
From Titanic. Oh my gosh. Everybody, I'm sure you know this movie.
This movie.
This was a iconic movie of that year for sure. And why else? From a musical standpoint, who was the diva of the day?
Diva of the day is Miss Celine Dion.
Yes.
Dion with My Heart Will Go On. And actually,
Right.
today of all days marks the 25th anniversary of when she sang the song at the Academy Awards.
What?
Literally.
That's why she sang it live.
Yeah, she sang it live and blew everyone out of the water with that. And oh my gosh, what a beautiful, beautiful song. Even to this day, when I hear it, I still get the chills.
Yes, and you know the thing about that song is it was so orchestral. It was so emotional and swelling and like the strings and her beautiful strong vibrato, and it was just like not the typical pop song, you know what I'm saying?
Not at all. And you know what? James Cameron didn't even want this song to be a part of Titanic. He just didn't want any songs with lyrics in it. But when he actually heard the demo for it and the composer James Horner and lyricist Will Jennings and obviously Celine's iconic angelic voice, he was like, yeah, we got to have that in there.
Wait, so did they submit for it? They were just like, look, we want to be in this movie? Or did they solicit that from her? Because, I mean, she's major, so it's not like she's like an unknown.
She actually didn't want to do it. She was kind of like nudged by her husband at the time to do it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because she didn't really want to.
She didn't want to be like, she was like, eh.
Yeah, she was kind of over it. She didn't really want to be a
She's
part of
Celine.
it.
She's like, I don't know.
But good thing that she did because it gave her all
Holy
these Grammy
cannoli.
Awards and it was like the song of the year and song of the decade. And
Wasn't it
basically-
nominated for an Academy Award? The soundtrack.
The soundtrack, yes. Well,
Or Best
the movie
Original. Oh, wait, am I thinking of a
alone
different
got
one?
like 14 nominations Academy
Oh my
Awards,
gosh,
and it
that's
won-
right.
It won 11 Academy Awards.
It won 11?
Yes, and actually,
Yeah, I believe that. It was so, I mean, DiCaprio, this was his shining moment. Same with Kate
Winslet.
Kate Winslet.
yeah, but the soundtrack was actually in the top Billboard 100 for literally 16 weeks. And
Oh my
it's
God,
it's
that's
one out of
right.
7 soundtracks to be certified diamond. So
Oh my gosh.
Tommy Mottola, who was the head of Sony at the time, he was like, this is like the perfect tool for the movie because honestly, this movie is really long, as you know.
It's long and it's kind of like a,
It wasn't really getting the buzz.
yes.
But this song
Yes.
made it.
Tell you what, this is what I'm talking about with the Sonic Chronic. This is what I'm saying. The song, that iconic song, it anchored your memory of how emotional and wonderful and heartfelt you felt, right? And so now you're like, oh my God, I want to see it again. Or you telling your friends. And this is how the movie got traction, I think, that kept staying week after week after week. It's because the movie music and like this connection with a really famous, amazing artist.
Yes.
And it just was like, it's almost like that's what we remember when we remember movies, is we remember the emotion.
Speaking of the weeks and weeks and weeks, the movie was released December 97, but it was still in theaters until September 98. And it's literally the first movie to accomplish that. We
talked about that because we were thinking, oh, shoot, this says 97, but it actually was charting in 98. And Celine Dion was number one on the Billboard.
And this was the number one movie in the country that year.
Major. So
speaking of the movie, let's just talk about that for a second. Don't you love Titanic and the love story?
You know, I was never really drawn to, I don't know, maybe this says something about me, but never really drawn to like the idea that it was like this love story per se. It was more about like, I thought the story itself was interesting. It was almost like a story for me of like,
well, it's a true story, not
it's
the
a
love
true story. That's what I like about that.
Yeah,
I liked how they made it, the true story, they probably made it a little bit more like romantic and a little Hollywood from the real story. But I love that. I always love stories. I'm just a sucker for based on true events, right?
Yeah.
But I also thought it was such a reflection of, it was speaking to classism. I liked how they kind of brought that out a little bit. And then I loved his spirit about like, it doesn't matter your wealth or your class, like what kind of person you can be and choose to be. I actually like that.
Yeah.
And how we show up for each other. That was the takeaway I got from it.
I like that.
Yeah.
You know, a couple fun facts about this movie. I don't think the movie would be the same without Kate and Leo, right?
Yeah, they had good chemistry. Did you think?
Oh, incredible chemistry. Even in the other movies that they did, like Revolutionary Road and I can't think of the other ones. But,
good call.
Imagine this movie with Gwyneth Paltrow and Matthew McConaughey, because they were the first choices.
No way.
Yep. They were first choices
why
for
didn't
James
that
Cameron,
happen?
but just things fell through later on and didn't work out. But I feel like it would have been a different movie with them in it. But
I can't think of a young Matthew McConaughey because like DiCaprio was younger.
Oh, yeah.
It was kind of part of the charm of his character.
This was 98, so they were all very young.
I guess so, but like McConaughey is just like has an older vibe. I don't know what I'm saying.
Maybe it's his ex.
He's more like rugged.
McConaughey.
Yeah, he's more rugged rather than boyish. But yeah, no. And actually, Gwyneth Paltrow, I feel like there's something kind of lovely about Kate Winslet in a way of her, like, she can almost give off like this wildness.
And she's a chameleon of an actress.
Yes,
too.
and I think that's what it was needed in this role because like the older woman truly who survived and was telling the story, she was breaking out of her comfort zone. She was like realizing this, like he was bringing out that in her, you know, even though her classism or her like, you know, what her upbringing was in her family, it's like, and it was kind of reminding her of her, almost like the fact that she's just like him, like she has the same spirit. I'm so glad, obviously it was a raging success, but I feel like she really embodied that, really.
She fought very hard for this role. She wanted it. After her audition, she sent James Cameron roses and was like, from your rose, you know? She really wanted it.
You know what?
I couldn't imagine.
Talk about power
else.
of manifestation. That's it. That is it. You know, and I bet you she knew. Maybe she really resonated with the story.
Yeah, she knew she could give a powerhouse performance for sure.
Oh, man.
And the ending, you know, where everyone hates is about how, like, she didn't share the door. Like, when they're floating.
She's all like, Jack, scooch over.
Well, to settle this debate, James Cameron actually said, look, it's very simple. You read page 147 of the script and it says, Jack gets off the board and gives his place to her so that she can survive. It's that simple. So if the director says that's how it's going to be, then that's how it's going to be.
Right.
So
I didn't take it that way. Was there people thinking it came off that way?
I mean, everyone says, like, girl, you could have shared that board. Come on. But it's just showing who Jack was. He was just going to do anything
and
to
honestly,
help her.
I think if they shared the board, and maybe that's why it was speaking to him sacrificing himself essentially and not letting her in on it because she wouldn't have agreed to it. But if they both shared the board, they'd both be hanging in the water. They both would have died. So he was just like, at least one of us will survive.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really romantic. If you're talking about romance.
So romantic.
That's romantic. That's
romantic.
like selfless love, and that's amazing. And they don't even know. And that's the other thing. They didn't know each other, so it's almost like you can have a love for someone. You can have a love for people instantly. You know, I love that message as well.
Love at first sight.
And maybe that does exist. I think we got a little cynical.
I think so.
But, maybe not the romantic love Hollywood poses, but real kind of unconditional love. That's rare and awesome when you encounter that. So, hey. And maybe that's what she always had. What a wonderful thing to take away, even though it's bittersweet.
Yeah.
She had someone love her like that. That's pretty cool.
It's so awesome that this is the 25th anniversary of this incredible movie, which is like one of the best movies ever made, honestly. And actually, there's a Titanic exhibition in LA. My mom just went and took my grandpa.
What?
Yes, and you can literally go
what is the exhibition?
You embark on this tour. It's an immersive recreation of the ship's interior and exterior design.
Okay.
And you can explore real artifacts and just like you take the name of a real passenger too, and at the end you get to see if they survived or not. It's like this whole thing, and they're
real people.
Real people, and I think it'll be going on until April. So by the time y'all are listening to this, it'll be April, but maybe you can still catch it.
I have to see if I can catch it and check it out. That's interesting.
And actually, the movie's in theaters too right now.
Oh, they're rescreening it
They
for the
remastered
anniversary?
it in 3D, remastered 4K.
Fun to see it on the big
whistles.
screen. If you can do it, catch it on the big screen. That's such a fun experience that people, I think we missed out on, especially going through the pandemic. And some people are like, oh, I just watched it on my TV, and maybe they have a big screen at home. That's fine. But it's not the same as going to the theater and seeing it on that big screen.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some movies that it just really immerses you. You know what I mean?
I would do it. Go watch it again.
Do it.
Go feel the love.
Amongst the cold sea.
Dreams,
Yes.
I see you. I feel you. Celine Dion.
Oh, I just want to stand up and reach out across the bow. What is it? Starboard? Bow?
Starboard.
What is it called? Nobody can see us right now. Our arms are out.
Arms are out. We're literally at the tippy top
We're
of
doing
the boat.
snow angels in the air. We're like, Jack, it's so wonderful, Jack.
Is that an iceberg?
Oh, damn. Also, that was actually really interesting to talk about how that actually was a big shift in the industry. The fact that they understaffed the lifeboats and some things, they were just it can never sink. They basically were underprepared. It could have been avoided.
It definitely
All those
could have
deaths
been.
could have been avoided. Even if somebody was drunk and fell asleep and, whatever happened for them to hit that iceberg, it's they were not prepared for emergency exit.
Gosh,
So,
that's
and that
devastating.
changed the industry standards of what they had to do for ships and things going forward. So there was something there. At least we learned a little bit, our lesson.
The ship of dreams, the biggest of its kind.
Yeah.
Just went under.
All right. Anyway, so shall we vote?
Let's vote.
I mean, I wonder what we're thinking. Most of it's obviously you guys can tell how we feel, but we do like to share the facts about the music and the score and also just the story and all that stuff. But I just think it's wonderful to see how much that is so impactful with people still. Mm-hmm. That particular movie.
Even right now, there's an exhibit. It's in
That's what I'm
theaters.
saying.
Well, it's the 25th anniversary.
I wonder why though,
still.
but wonder why certain movies just
hit you in the
keep
feels.
coming back. But maybe it was what I was saying I got out of it. That sentiment, I think that is a forever sentiment. That will always be timeless to show unconditional love or, show up for people. I think maybe that's reemerging for us right now.
It's what we need.
It's what we need. All right. So what's our vote on this one? We got to think of good ratings.
You're good at this.
Oh gosh, I'm on the spot. Okay. Okay.
Is it gonna float?
Is that too basic? All right, let me think of something. Okay, something else. Is it unsinkable or fish food?
Oh,
What's that mean?
Wow.
Okay.
Well,
One,
one, two, three.
Unsinkable! Oh my God, of course. I mean, it's not really, but to us it is.
You know there was a real Jack Dawson on the real boat?
Is that why they used his name?
No, Cameron found out about that after they filmed. But there was a real Jack
Wait,
Dawson.
but how did they come up with the name?
Coincidence. A little quinky-dink.
No.
A little tidbit fact. Yes,
They
and
were
actually,
picking up on frequencies on that one.
Jack Dawson's grave is always populated with flowers. Very popular. But yeah, that's a little fun fact. Another fun fact.
Wait,
you know
didn't
when
she say his name was Jack Dawson? Because isn't she the woman? Didn't she say in telling her
but
story?
Isn't the woman not true? That story? The love story is not true.
Oh, I'm confused.
We gotta go. Well, yeah, because James Cameron didn't know about a Jack Dawson.
Oh. That's still pretty cool.
All right,
Okay,
Shazy.
so it's my turn to pick.
Your turn.
All right, here we go. Here we go. And wait, hold on. This is, because we're going really tightening up this episode, but this is
Second chance to dance.
This is our second chance to dance segment title that we picked. And let's reveal.
Let's reveal.
Drum roll.
Oh, it's my turn because I didn't read it. I want to go next.
But I want it now. All right, so you go ahead and pick.
Okay.
Yes, do it.
Okay.
What you got?
In case you haven't noticed, Winston, baby, I'm old enough to be your mother, okay?
Oh! I know what that is.
What is that?
How Stella got her groove.
Yes! That's Angela Bassett. In case you haven't noticed, Winston, baby, I'm old enough to be your mother.
Okay. That's when she was in the pool. Remember? And he was all like flirting with her, trying to be on it. And she's like, really? And he's like, really? And she's like, okay, let's do this.
Yo, how Stella got her groove.
This was a fun one for me to rewatch. Actually, this was the first time I was really seeing it from start to finish. But I wanted to give it the love. I remember thinking I was bummed I didn't see it in theaters or whatever, but this also was really cool because it was kind of groundbreaking of like the lead characters and like, in fact, Angela Bassett, awesome,
Yes, and
goddess.
Taye Diggs, Whoopi
Taye Diggs,
Goldberg,
oh my God.
Regina King.
Looking good. A lot of those actors that weren't like usually like mainstreaming it in the movies. And then of course the soundtrack and the music was cool because it was like a whole genre. Was it Terry Lewis?
Yeah, so the producers were Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis.
Yeah, Janet Jackson.
Even Wyclef Jean did some music on
That's
this.
right.
But it actually was mainly R&B and hip-hop,
Yes.
a little bit of reggae in
It
there.
was good.
It was on the Billboard charts for they had 3 number ones on the top Billboard charts
Out of that soundtrack.
out of that soundtrack, and it was certified gold in 98.
Yes.
One of the singles, do you remember it was by Shaggy? It's the Love Me, Love Me, Love
Yeah,
Me.
yes.
And it's
Yes.
the, oh boy,
I love you so, never ever ever gonna let you go.
which they sampled by
Once I get my
Royce.
hands on you.
But Shaggy and Janet did that, and that was produced by
Yes.
Jimmy Jam and Terry, obviously.
And you could tell it had that vibe.
It
I
totally
was
had that
obsessed with
vibe.
Janet Jackson and Rhythm Nation. So I was kind of like, it just brought me back. It was nostalgic.
Yes, it was such a great album, and I mean, anything Terry and Jimmy Jam touch is gold.
Yes, they've got a flavor, a unique vibe, for sure.
I mean, for them to have 16 number ones on the Billboard charts in like the last 3 decades,
Yeah.
they're killing it.
Yeah.
Fun fact, Shay.
Fun fact. What?
About me. Okay. Once I performed and I was in a kind of American Idol type contest, and
Okay.
Terry Lewis was one of the judges, and I had to sing "Rolling in the Deep" by Adele, and I was so nervous considering like who I'm performing for, right?
Right.
And I did my thing, whatever, and by the time I was done, he was like, well, Amanda September, so you're just the whole package, huh? And I said, oh my gosh, thank you.
Wait, what?
Yes, but I'm like, sign me though. But like,
Put
here
your
we
money
go.
where your mouth
Right.
is. Wait, was that for
It was
like an audition or
no, it was actually at a birthday party, and they just had this like cool contest going on
that's fun.
a lot of the guests were artists, and they knew
because
Jimmy
you
Jam
were
and Terry,
you're a
so-
youngie.
I was young, yeah, I was so young.
Oh, what a nice compliment.
Oh my gosh, yes. I was just like, wow, this is like an idol for
Oh
them
my
to say that. It's just
God.
a really
It's like-
nice moment for me. But anywho,
Yeah.
going back to the movie.
Yeah, I love that fun fact.
Fun little fact.
Well, that's the other thing. I loved the vibe. I mean, we were still coming along. It's 1998. We're not totally female empowered yet. We're still starting to turn the tide. But I feel like how Stella got her groove back, it was the beginning of Hollywood allowing women to explore their sexuality confidently as women who are career women, but also women who are just human beings who can have a family, who can have a career, who can have a lover or not have a lover. And I love that they approached that because it was kind of taboo because he was a youngling.
She was in her 40s. And
He's in her 40s and he
20.
wasn't even 21.
I
He was
know,
just 20.
just 20
But
years
boy,
old.
was he like a suave 20-year-old? I'll
He
tell
was
you
a
what.
looker with his little
He
reggae
was
accent.
I know.
accent.
But he was smooth, like the way he approached her and how he handled it. He wasn't immature, like, I mean, there was moments where she was kind of like, but I loved how it evolved, and it was trying to be realistic. It was talking about how like the friends were like, what the hell are you doing? Cradle robbing and all that stuff. And she had to kind of overcome some of that too, because she was a very successful business person.
Very successful.
Yeah.
She just went on this vacation and they happened to meet there.
Yeah, she was just trying to take a vacation, take some time off, and was not expecting it.
You just never know when love's going to find you.
You don't know. But she was a little kind of like had her wall up, but then she was like, all right. And then when she got back, are we spoiling? Do we say spoilers? Okay, that's fine. So then she ends up, it was one of these things where she was like, I don't know, was she a stockbroker? No, she did something like that in corporate world. But she was like up there, sea level, right? And they were like, sorry, you were gone too long. We're going to replace you. We had some merger happen. And she was like, really? So then she just kind of was like, fine, I'm going to do my thing. And I guess she always wanted to do furniture making. That was the little thing. He basically brought her back to herself. It was one of those deals. And it was like, it was really cute. I want to say there was a friend in it that I forgot she was in it because she was in her heyday during this time was Whoopi Goldberg.
Yes.
Really fun, comedic best friend.
She slayed it in this movie. She was so funny.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the narrative because it was a long movie. It was over 2 hours.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like almost like you thought, oh, it's just a simple story. She finds a young dude and decides blah, blah, blah. But there was it was more. It kind of took you on a journey and there was other things at play. And so, what did you think about that?
I loved it. For me, it didn't feel so long just because I was just so invested and just loving the story.
Yeah.
So it kind of went by fast for being so long. But
For sure.
It was based off of a book by Terry McMillan.
It was based off of a book.
She also
That's
wrote
why.
Waiting to Exhale. That same.
Yes,
she wrote these two books.
yes, which is
time.
another amazing movie. And that's the other thing.
Angela Bassett's also in that movie. Slayed it.
Yes, she is.
To your point, it was around the time where they're finally allowing women to talk about their sexuality and their relationships and just have these leading roles.
And not only just women, but older women. There's a stigma around once you get to a certain age around your beauty, your value, all the things. Plus with people of color, plus showing the beauty of people you're not usually seeing on the silver screen, and those kind of dynamics and relationships. And yeah, I thought that was really interesting because when movies are based on books, I don't know, tell me if you agree, is that a lot of times I feel like you can almost tell because the way it's story told, you can almost tell it's from the narrative of how the book does it versus a straight up, film script. You get what I'm saying at? It's almost like how she would voice over and tell her emotions. Yeah. That's a very book tell to me.
That is a very,
don't you think?
Totally. And thankfully, Terry McMillan got to be a part of the screenplay. So that's probably why I also felt more like the book, too, because she played a huge role in that. So I loved it.
I loved it, too. And normally, I don't like when they do that. I don't like when they, do the narration because I'm like, all right, we're not dummies. Just, we're, we assume certain things, just act it out. But I appreciated, maybe it was because Angela Bassett, she's so good at that stuff. She's so good. I love
anything she touches. Gold.
When I really fell in love with her as an actor was What's Love Got to Do with It?
Ooh, don't get me started on that.
And I felt like I was watching Tina Turner.
Yo.
Good.
I want her
goodness
arms. Angela Bassett's
her
arms.
Body is
her
banging.
body is sick. Even to this day.
I'm seriously. I'm like,
so
she had
beautiful.
a 4-pack. You know that in this movie.
Yeah.
And she had her bangs. She's like, I was like, girl, get out of here.
And she's supposed to be a 40-year-old woman in this, looking like a supermodel.
I mean, seriously,
she's so amazing.
Anyway, so yeah, I think that's probably why I also appreciate it because there's something about her energy, even if there's a little weakness in the dialogue, maybe even the cliche stuff, she still made it work. I don't know. She is so good at making it feel real and believable.
Well, she's just a phenomenal actress,
and
woman, and role model and queen of our hearts.
Yes, that's a great way to wrap it up. Angela Bassett.
So what do we think?
Oh, what do we think? Okay, so obviously, it took me back to Janet Jackson days, and I love to see diversity in our theaters. And of course, I love the story, female protagonist, female empowerment, energy, getting what you deserve in the way of love and just all the things. So what is our rating system for this?
Stella got her grade
Was
back. Was it Jamaican McCrazy? Jamaican McCrazy in a good way. Or
just take me home. right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're making me crazy or just take me home. And we say,
You're making me crazy. Oh, yeah.
oh, yes.
Stella got her
I wanna go-
back with that Tay Diggs.
I want to go on vacation. I need some sun.
Me too.
That movie made me want to just go. And her house, hello.
Our house is beautiful.
It was, excuse me. Like, I was like, okay, all these windows into my forest of like dreams. And she was all just like, yeah, this is my humble abode.
For real.
You know, he was loving that. When he came to the house, he's like, oh, damn, I'm set up. I'm a kept man.
Remember when she was like, I found Cocoa Puffs in the bed the other night. Yo, Winston. You're playing your video games. I found the Cocoa Puffs in the bed.
Oh my gosh, she went off. And don't get me started about the trash.
Right.
I was like, oh no, she read him to filth. Okay.
All right.
So what's our next title? Is it
You
me or
go
you?
next. It's
me?
you.
Okay.
What's it gonna be?
It was like
What's
two.
it gonna be? What's it gonna be?
You don't have to put a gun to my head to get me to do nice things for my friends. Oh, what am I talking about?
You don't have to put a gun to my head to get me to do nice things.
Could also be in the same universes. Is that hair gel?
There's something about Mary. Another classic, another wonderful rom-com
That's right.
with our faves, Ben Stiller, Cameron Diaz, Matt Dillon. Woo!
It was an all-star cast.
All-star.
That's when
Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. That's when he was like having a heyday, like, you know,
Popping out all the
was
hits.
it Zoolander time? That was around Zoolander time and other things like that. You know, when certain actors suddenly it's like they're everywhere, you know,
Yes.
and like they're collaborating. And he's also like a lot of comedic actors. They collaborate with a lot of different same people. Like what's his name with the nose?
Owen Wilson.
Owen Wilson. Yeah, and like people like that, or even just like Matt
Dillon.
Dillon. Like he's actually really funny.
He's so funny in
Yeah,
this.
he was playing a comedic role, which was unexpected. And of course, Cameron Diaz was a bomb.com in that movie. I didn't remember how like hottie patati she was.
She was a little hottie back in this.
Seriously,
era.
that was before
She's
the
so beautiful. She still is,
Charlie's
but
Angels, but no, she
This
was
was
like
in her heyday, like woo.
yes, and like totally like natural too. She was all like, I don't have any makeup on, and I'm just like gorgy with her like piercing blue eyes. I'm like, what is happening?
This is such a fun movie. Basically, it's like he's a little nerd in high school.
Yes!
He's going after
Oh my
this
God.
popular, beautiful girl.
Right? Was she like takes a liking to him, and
Yeah, she
has
really liked him for him.
yeah, she has a disabled brother
Warren.
that she's very fond of and like, you know, is really important to her. And so from the jump, he always like, he kind of defended him in a scene or whatever. And he was just kind of like this nerd, but he was totally didn't think she would ever.
Oh,
and
yeah.
she was the one who approached him and like invited him to prom and all that. Yeah.
She was all about it. Do you know that Chris Farley was supposed to play Warren? They were like thinking about him to play Warren.
No.
Yeah, but unfortunately he passed away during the time of filming.
What?
Yeah.
So he would have played that?
They were thinking about it. They were hoping that would go that
I'm
route.
trying to
but
imagine that.
unfortunately-
And wow, because like he was such a well-known. I wonder if he would have upstaged them.
Maybe.
I wonder if it would have gone different. Because think about it. He's like, was an acting powerhouse.
Yeah. He was like the funniest man
like
alive at
comedic,
the time,
like
yeah.
physical comedy. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, interesting fact.
And Cameron Diaz and Matt Dillon were dating at the time in real life. Did you
They
know
were?
that? Mm-hmm. Maybe next time you watch it, you could see the
Oh
actual
my
real
gosh.
chemistry
So I
there.
can see how that might happen, especially without those awful teeth that he put in. But here's the thing. How about let's talk about the music, the
Ooh,
soundtrack. That's what's really
yes.
interesting about this one. And by the way, this was charting. I think this one is well known and this holds the test of time.
Mm-hmm.
Watching it again, it was just as funny and charming to me.
Yeah.
But remember, everybody remembers if you saw it, or even if you didn't see it, you probably saw memes or whatever, but of this classic dude walking around with an acoustic guitar.
Yep.
And his friend who played drums wherever he could find, you know, sticks to bang on something. And they were singing a little tale about Mary.
There's something
And it was
about
kind of,
Mary.
that's right, something about Mary. And it would kind of like segue into a couple scenes or kind of have commentary in between scenes. And it was just a really interesting first time it's been done that I didn't know of.
Well, actually, that guy is Jonathan Richman of the Modern Lovers. He had this hit band in the 70s, and he's actually the pioneer for punk rock music.
Oh my God, that's so
that?
cool. And that makes sense.
He paved the way for punk music.
But he was playing folky acoustic music, and honestly, like I can see now that makes a lot of sense. That's first of all, it's really cool. But like punk music, not saying you don't have to be able to sing well, but like he was not a singer-songwriter,
Right.
put it that way. It was a little questionable, almost to the point where you thought it was intentional for him not to sing very well. But it really kind of, they actually ended up integrating them into the scene at the very end, remember?
Yes,
it's really
and
funny.
He's singing and then like he gets shot.
Yes.
You know, I just
The drummer.
found out that was actually intended to be Ted, the one that gets shot and dies after
Ted who?
Ted, Ben Stiller, Ted, his
Oh.
role. They actually wrote it for Ted to be the one to get shot at the end when he finally
Wait,
gets
they were
married.
going to kill him?
They were gonna kill him, but then they were like, "Nah,
I'm
that's a
so
little
glad
too
they
dark."
chose wisely. That was too dark.
That was
After
too dark.
everything, I do not like when movies do that because, listen, it's tough enough for me to watch when there's like, you know, when movies have that kind of comedy where it's like the hero is kind of struggling. There's always something like the mop comes up and hits him in the nose when he's trying to get it, or you know, something, and you're just like, ah, and it's
Yeah.
almost like frustrating to watch. You're waiting for that payoff. You're waiting for like, oh, they didn't go through that for nothing.
Right.
So if they killed him off at the end, people would have been like, what are you doing?
But that's just that like funny slapstick comedy that the Farrelly brothers have, like Dumb and Dumber and Shallow Hal.
You have to have
Kingpin,
some
like-
reward, though. Like, that
Yeah.
would be messed up if they just killed him
glad
off
they
after
did
all
it,
that.
yeah.
I mean, the famous scene in the beginning when the premise is that, like, you know, he was invited to prom. He was like this nerd with braces, blah, blah, blah. And she was super sweet, and he was sweet too. And he shows up to the house, pick her up. And the whole spin of the story is that, like, they didn't get to go to prom because of a very bizarre and embarrassing accident. And then what happened was he felt like she was the one that got away. So he basically like wanted to find out what she was doing, you know, where she was like. And that's how it kind of began. And he hired somebody to kind of locate her. But he basically betrayed him. And then it was just like a funny story, of course. But like they ended up reconnecting. So it was just really fun.
Yeah, it was a great story.
Yeah.
Speaking of that crazy scene about the zipper accident, it was based off of a true story that the Farrelly brothers.
It was?
Yeah, their parents actually had to deal with a kid in their house with that.
Oh my God, how funny.
Yeah, I'm like, imagine that actually happening. Every time
getting
I
your
watch the
junk
movie, I'm
stuck
like,
in your
yo,
zipper,
that
basically.
can't be real. But
That can't be real.
It was real.
First of all, not only that, but they gave us the satisfaction of a close-up shot. And I actually love that they did
Franks
that.
and beans.
He's like, wait, how are the beans on top of the frank? But it was kind of amazing that they actually showed it instead of just making it up in our minds.
Yeah. That other scene with the hair gel.
Oh my God.
That almost didn't make it. They actually thought that might be too over the edge, but then
That almost didn't make it?
Yeah, but during the screening, they got a lot of laughs. And like, okay, we'll keep it in there. But
That's funny. I feel like that was funnier than the cut and the things.
I
And the
love
thing
that
is,
scene.
like, how funny where they were. I was watching, like, there's so many, like, screen grabs of her hair. Like, that's so iconic, that moment. I'm glad they didn't cut it.
such a great film,
but
and it
in-
was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Yeah, I was going to say, what about the
Best Motion
soundtrack?
Picture.
I mean, the soundtrack was actually kind of an exception to the rule I was saying with the other movies in 98. It did have individual songs, you know. There were a couple that fell flat. There were a couple that were like, you know, it was kind of songs of the time. Like, that was like the popular genre of that time. But it wasn't so much scoring. It was
It was
more...
all about songs. That
all
famous
about
song.
songs.
What do you fill me up?
That was the end, remember?
Baby. Yeah,
Buttercup, that's
the
right. And remember there was a
foundation.
little dancing montage with all the actors at the very
Yeah.
end in the credits. It was really fun.
And Woogie with all his shoes.
And who is that actor?
That is Chris Elliott, and it was
Chris Elliott.
actually
He always
his
plays the
idea
goofy
to have his
characters.
skin be all crazy and to
when
be
he was getting
obsessed with
hives?
Mary's shoes. That was like his own improvisation.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That is funny. He's like quirky. He's very like a Tom Green vibe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, Tom Green.
Remember?
That's throwing it back too.
It's almost like
Wow.
you don't know. It's like you're not sure what they might do. They're that kind of actor where you're like, because you know they're going for it. But then like, yeah, everybody was pretty good, and it was very slapsticky.
Yeah.
But they did it well. The story itself was cute, and yeah, I thought the music was fun, and it was a sign of the times. With it was like lighthearted
Very lighthearted.
and very kind of storytelling and folky. So that was kind of fun and like.
It's just a feel-good movie.
It was feel-good.
It always delivers every time I rewatch it. It's just like...
And everybody remembers it. It was a memorable movie. So yeah. Did you say in terms of any awards, or did any of the songs chart, or was it just like the soundtrack? Did it do anything, or was it kind of like more about just the overall movie?
The main thing about that was just that Jonathan Richman was a part of it, and he actually wrote "There's Something About Mary," the main song, and had a couple different artists in there. But
right. Sarah Silverman was in it. I totally forgot she was one of the friends.
I know.
And she was a small
so
part, but that was the beginning, yeah. And I was like, wow, you didn't even get a glimpse of her vibe because it was like just like a friend, you know?
I feel like, did we even know who she was at that point yet? Was she Sarah Silverman yet?
Was she on SNL? Like, how did she come up as a comedian?
Then she had her own shows.
Yeah,
on
she had her
Comedy
own shows.
Central.
Were awesome.
Remember, we
I
went to a
loved her
show.
stuff.
We
Yes,
went
the
to one of her
Largo.
shows. Yeah.
Oh my God, Sarah and Friends. Oh my God, so good. This was a movie where I feel like, yeah, while things were tense in the world, it was like we were needing a little bit of like a fun, kind of lighthearted giggle, a little slapsticky, kind of relationship-y kind of fun thing. I mean, it was kind of like not super believable, but it was like, it was just kind of fun. I mean, little things like the dog and like...
Oh my gosh.
the mom or the
drugs.
friend.
What did they give it?
I hated it. It was like, well, first he gave it something to like make it pass out, and then it almost died. And then the next time it was speed.
Yeah, the dog was like
and the old woman, and she's all vacuuming. She's like, like she's all. They're like, can we help you?
Oh my gosh.
So anyway,
yeah.
All right. So what's our vote?
What do we say?
Is it
a build you up, Buttercup?
Or is it a beans in a zipper?
Oh, ouch.
Okay, so build me up, Buttercup, or beans in the zipper.
Ouch.
Ouch.
I think it's
I think it was a build me up, Buttercup. It was a fun movie. It was fun. So, here, to us it was, and maybe some people thought maybe it was too sugary sweet, maybe it was too goofy and over top. And that's what I'm saying. There's a balance when it comes to slapstick and their vibe. Because sometimes you can go too far and you're kind of like, you're not laughing out loud, you're kind of like giggling, but you're like, okay.
For that time and that era, I think that's what the
90s
movies were. The 90s were just that like Dumb and Dumber, Kingpin, Fever Pitch.
Yeah, oh my God.
All these
you're
movies.
Right. It was this like almost leaning towards grotesque.
Yeah,
like
cringy.
Cringy slapstick humor.
Yeah.
And then it would
couldn't get away with a lot that we got away with back then.
We were a little bit, it definitely had a frat boy kind of like prankster vibe going on. But it was fun for the moment, but I still think it held the test of time. I still felt it was fun to watch again.
I would watch it.
Sometimes movies are like, ooh, that was inappropriate. Like when you watch it later and we've changed. But this one was like, no, it was still worked because it was actually, it did have some like really redeeming qualities about the characters, especially Ben Stiller. Mm-hmm. And Mary. They were actually sweet people.
And their chemistry on screen is just great.
It is good. It was very sweet. I agree. All right. So you get to pick our final title. Let's reveal. Drum roll.
We accept the reality of the world with which we were presented. It's so simple as that. How about this? In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Truman Show. Oh my gosh, the Truman Show. Yes, I loved this movie and I saw it in the theaters and I thought, how freaking groundbreaking. Also, obsessed with Jim Carrey. He was the perfect for this role. I mean, he was always known for Pet Detective and Dumb and Dumber, Goofy Goofies. Yeah. And this was the first time he started going into, and then since then, he has amazing, like, more serious roles that are fantastic. This was the beginning of that. It was almost like thought-provoking, beautifully executed. And
original storytelling on screen.
Yes.
It was emotionally engaging, witty, dramatic. Just unique all around.
And here's the one where it was interesting because the premise of this is that this production company or network actually adopted a child and raised this child, Truman, on a reality TV show, full 24/7 live
30
TV
years
show.
of his life.
30 years of his life. And basically owned him. Mm-hmm. There were so many kind of like human rights issues going on here. There were so many like controversial things, but ethical issues. But it was like, you know what I think it was speaking to, which I appreciate now looking back even more, realizing it. Remember how I said in the 90s we were obsessed with reality television shows? And we were just, remember how they would show how people would cut to people watching his moments when he was going through it, and like how they would just like forget about their life and just be stuck like zombies.
And they've been watching him for 30 years. His whole life they've been watching
and
him.
not living their lives, but living this. And so it was kind of like, I thought they were making a remark on that, where they were saying, this is how we were not realizing and being self-aware about our obsession with watching other people's lives, like living vicariously through other people. And also this other idea of like not really thinking twice about, hey, is this a violation of privacy?
Massive.
Think about it, like how we're like, we don't want the government looking in on us and telling us what to do. We don't want da-da-da-da. And here, these are the books you can read, and these are things. This is exactly what they were doing to Truman. And everybody was okay with it because they were like, oh, this is interesting. It's like a soap opera. Speaking to the music then. I thought how clever the music was, the music of how people, the director was trying to evoke emotion. And it was almost very soap opera, right? Very drama. It was very swelling strings in the moment where he like reunites with his dad. And he was an actor, but to him, he thought it was real. And it's like, to him, everything was all he ever knew.
Yeah, it was beautifully composed by Dalwitz, Philip Glass, and Killar.
And so he wanted people to cry and feel the emotion. People were like, oh my God.
Ed Harris was phenomenal in this. He's the guy who's basically like
the creator of the show. He's the one who, it was almost like he was acting like a father figure to him.
He felt like Truman's father.
Like it, but it was creepy. I was thinking at the very end when he was saying that to him, but when he was about to leave and figured it out. And he's all like, I watched you when you did it. And I'm thinking, cringy creeper. Yeah. I was like, ew, you watch, like literally he had no privacy. Think about the things you do.
Even with his
Think about
wife,
the things you do in life.
He thinks his wife, like she's not even.
She was a paid actor.
Everyone was a paid actor.
But what's crazy in the beginning too about like how the actors, they were interviewing them, and it's like they were also bought into this idea. They thought they were like part of this. That was their life too.
Right.
What they didn't realize is they committed themselves. That was their life.
Right.
And they were like, oh, I'm just acting. But no, you're not. No. And the guy grew up with him. His best friend grew up with him. Mm-hmm. So everybody else was in the bubble too.
That scene with the best friend, it was a little heartbreaking because it's like
it was, because you could tell there was some truth to it
to him either because he loves Truman, but
then he lied.
He did lie.
It's like straight up lied.
So I would never lie to you.
Like that. And I was like, dude.
Bro.
I was having cringy moments. And then even just like how sweet and innocent Jim Carrey played these moments. Remember they would put him up on a picture-in-picture when he was doing something boring, let's say, and then they would run like, let's talk about the Truman Show. So this season, and then they're like talking and like, here he is and he's just eating his breakfast. And it's like this sweet, innocent face. And remember the love interest where she was trying to like help him understand what was going on?
Lauren,
and they got rid of her.
They got rid of her quick.
But she was a muse to him. He remembered that one moment, and that was his motivation to break out.
He literally had no pictures of her, just this memory and a sweater, and he would like piece together like the eyes and lips from magazines to try to recreate her in his mind.
And he used that as his inspiration to like have courage because he had a fear of the water, which was messed up. That they made him believe his father died and drowned. He could have had some major trauma.
Especially when the father came back randomly when he's 30 years old.
Yeah, he basically like was like, I want to get back on set, and was like a bum. And he's like, wait, I recognize you. And they're like, shit, we gotta like write him back in. How messed up is that? Because you don't know, he could have turned out like horribly. He could have all kinds of issues. He could have been a serial killer, like what they did to him. You know what I'm saying?
It's one of the greatest films of our time. It's definitely worth watching. A winner of many Golden Globes actually. Jim Carrey won his Golden Globe for this.
Oh, that's right. I remember that. Yeah.
Best performance by an actor by Ed Harris.
Was there anything noteworthy about the soundtrack? I mean, I know it was more orchestral, it was more film scorey, but like that's the other thing. It was so cool because it was like we were watching it, but then they would cut to an audience in the movie watching it. And so it was very like this meta moment of like they were hearing that music too.
Yeah, well, Philip Glass is just like a dream on the piano. It's perfectly evoking the mood for each section of the narrative. And specifically the scene where Truman breaks his routine for the first time because he's kind of catching on. Like the emotion of that music when combined with like Truman's like simplicity of his actions. It's just incredibly powerful how he takes us on that journey.
Yes, it was so orchestrated well with like Jim Carrey's acting was genius. Because think about it. He was such a good actor for this. Physically, he went from being so innocent and just, whatever. And then the moment he started kind of testing the waters, and wonderful how he did that. And the music actually danced
The music
with him.
helped. Yes, it was all in all incredible film.
One of my
Timeless.
tops. That was definitely one of my top films.
And it's kind of like now in this era, in this 2023, like how are we all living our lives? We're all on the Truman Show. Everybody watches every second of our life. Social media, and nothing's real unless you post it.
I think that was the beginning of Hollywood greenlighting something that actually let us start thinking about that kind of thing. I don't think it really sunk in until now.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more people are really looking at it and they go, oh yeah, we see that now. But at the time, it was almost like, that's why it was so groundbreaking, because people were like, whoa. It's really making me think.
Yeah.
But that was the beginning of that. And look at Jim Carrey now. He's all like, look, I know the game, people. I don't even want to play this anymore. Like, he
knows the game.
He has knowing. And so it's like, I feel like he picked the project because it spoke to that a little bit. And I love when films do that, because it's like, all right, it's okay to have some films that are like feel good and blah, 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 and dial it in. But after a while, you're kind of like, I want something that breaks through and is speaking to a little bit more truth than that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many iconic movies. Like, and this is just part one.
What are we going to rate this, though?
Oh, what are we going to rate this? Okay, is this a...
Is it the truth? Or is it a facade?
Facade, I could do that. That's not bad. I was thinking more of like a ratings thing, but no, okay, yeah, I like that. Does it break the fourth wall or stay in your bubble? And I think we all know it's breaking the fourth wall. You sang it, I just spoke it. Oh my God, no, that was so good. And I actually was emotional in some moments. There was moments. And watching it again, I actually felt bad for him.
Oh my gosh, I know.
Okay, wow. All right, so we made it to the end of part one for 1998. And I'm telling you what, these titles, it was really interesting how those were really a sign of the times, I think. I think that even though, like, maybe there was a little bit of, with the Truman Show, we were talking about, hey, let's look at what's going on here. There's a lot of stuff. Maybe we're not really, let's look at our reality. And then you had, there's something about Mary, which was just like fun and just kind of like lighthearted. But it's like, maybe we were just kind of dancing around in that reality television show era where we were like, didn't really want to think about the real stuff happening out there, the wars,
a lot of stuff happening in the wars,
all that stuff. Because it was almost like at the time, I don't think we had a lot that we could do about it. Not now. Like, we have technology, we have things that we can communicate with, and we can kind of activate more. But I feel like at the time, it was almost like Gen X is kind of like, is the albatross is that it's like, you want to change, but you don't really have the paths yet, you don't have the tools yet, or you really don't have the channels yet,
So let's distract ourselves.
Right. It's almost like keep the hope alive by like creating a different reality that's okay, But maybe that was happening. And then Titanic was more like this beautiful idea of like reminding us about humanity, It's like, I could see how that, and not in a bad way, that we can kind of go inward and we're not thinking about world issues because we're just like, let's remember what we love and is important. It's more about relationships. Maybe that's actually more. Truman Show. Yeah, there's something about Mary, Titanic, and what was the other one?
And how Stella got her groove back.
Relationships. That was it. That was the
tie
thing.
it in, Shay.
Yeah, I brought it back.
Brought it back.
All right.
Thanks for tuning in to the Sonic Chronic.
That's right.
Part 1 of 1998.
Yeah. And we were feeling it. Yes. Like we do every episode, we want to know. Do you agree? Yeah. How did you feel about the titles we talked about? Do you agree? Do you disagree?
Like us on Instagram and Spotify and tell us what you think.
Yes. Follow us on Spotify. Spotify, definitely. You can leave comments. Let us know what you think.
We love hearing from you.
Yes, we love hearing from you. TheSonicChronic.com is our official website. You can also interact with us there, leave comments there. Follow us on all the places where you can get the podcast so that you'll be notified when the next episode is ready to go.
Ready to go.
And so with that said,
that was the frequency of that time.
All right, everybody. We will catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.
Frequency of the time.